The Caracas Gambit, a post-intervention power vacuum. The 2026 U.S.-led removal of President Maduro has not resolved Venezuela's crisis but has instead internationalized its control, centering on oil and sovereignty.
The unilateral intervention, executed under the Trump administration, has created a profoundly unstable governance model, where Venezuela's interim leadership operates under the direct economic and political influence of Washington. This action, framed by supporters as a liberation from a brutal dictatorship, is decried by legal experts and regional observers as a violation of international law that risks perpetuating a colonial dynamic.
The immediate consequence is a shift in operational control over the nation's vast oil reserves to arguably the primary strategic objective, raising critical questions about the legitimacy of the new authority and the authenticity of any democratic transition. The central conflict now pivots on whether this constitutes a necessary transitional phase or the substitution of one form of authoritarian control for another externally mandated one.
Historical precedents of regime change. The Venezuelan intervention replays a familiar geopolitical script where resource access is justified under the banner of democracy promotion. The historical pattern of
Foreign policy in Latin America provides essential context, where ideological opposition to leftist governments has frequently intertwined with economic interests, particularly in the energy sector. The current situation mirrors past interventions, where the removal of a hostile regime was followed by the installation of a pliable government favorable to American corporate and strategic aims.
The debate between Vanessa Newman defending the intervention as overdue and critics like Professor Oscar Guardiola Rivera, who highlights its illegality, reflects this enduring dichotomy. The status quo is thus not a novel development but an escalation of long-standing hemispheric power struggles, now accelerated by the direct application of military and economic force to secure a critical energy asset during a period of global instability.
The oil for legitimacy calculus. Control over PDVSA and the Orinoco Belt has become the currency for political recognition, effectively mortgaging Venezuelan sovereignty. The strategic deep dive reveals that President Trump's boast of controlling Venezuelan oil is not mere rhetoric but the operational core of the new arrangement.
The interim government's survival is predicated on its ability to swiftly restart and direct oil flows through deals with firms, trading resource access for political and security backing from Washington.
This creates a dependency loop that undermines the premise of self-determination as analyzed by Alejandro Velasco and Estefania Melendez. The complex mechanics involve sidelining not only the former Chavista power structures but also elements of the traditional opposition that may resist full American economic dominion.
Consequently, the fight for power is no longer a domestic political contest but a managed process where key stakeholders in Washington and the Venezuelan interim administration negotiate the terms of resource extraction under the thin veneer of a democratic transition.
A sovereign future foreclosed. The intervention has likely cemented a neo-protectorate model, making a genuine, Venezuelan-led democracy a distant, secondary objective. The strategic verdict is that the 2026 operation has foreclosed the possibility of an organic political resolution for the foreseeable future.
The predicted consequence is a prolonged period of managed instability, where social unrest and fragmented opposition are contained as long as oil exports meet Washington's benchmarks. The final assessment posits that Venezuela's future is now decisively shaped by external actors, with Venezuelans relegated to a secondary role in determining their national trajectory.
Future risks include the entrenchment of a corrupt petro-state under new management, regional backlash against EU hegemony, and the potential for a protracted insurgency.
The primary strategic next step for any legitimate democratic force is the nearly impossible task of decoupling national sovereignty from the economic lifeline now controlled by its foreign guarantors.